It's all quiet on the Western Front, kind of. Can something happen already? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here to talk about everything involving the Washington Commanders. On today's show, a bit of an update on the Terry McLaurin situation. Still nothing definitive, but some positive news nonetheless. Also, another look at the building injury report, but why a very important player is no longer at risk of missing this weekend's game. And then a couple of thoughts from the assistant coaches, the coordinators, and a whole lot more, guys. We are going to get into all of that in just a moment. But before we do, make sure you hit the like button. As always, takes 2 seconds out of your day. It is the number one way you can help me out with this video. And as we go through here, make sure you leave me your thoughts in the comment section below on everything that we get into. So, according to NFL Network's Mike Garafolo, whose name looks like it's spelled like Jimmy Garoppolo, like it would be Garofalo, but it is Garafolo, in case anybody needed that useless piece of information out there. Not to call Mike useless. I appreciate the work he does. So, according to a report that he gave out late last night, he said Terry McLaurin does not need surgery, quote, at least not as of right now. Not in the cards right now. That was followed up by a couple of Commanders' local reporters confirming that their sources also told them Terry does not need surgery at this moment. Nikki Javala of The Athletic, for example, tweeted that her sources confirmed he is unlikely to require surgery. So it sounds like everybody is leaving the door open. They're not entirely shutting it. Garofolo said not in the cards right now. Nikki said he's unlikely to require surgery, not he does not require surgery. So I would base this as, or I would look at this as, if there are 4 or 5 doctors who gave opinions, maybe 3 or 4 of them said, no, you don't need surgery. Or we're waiting to see what happens in the initial rehab process, and then we can reach a full determination. But right now, it looks like he's out of the woods. From what I have heard about this and how it's being discussed, it does seem as if it's a hip flexor injury. That also is not confirmed, so still room for change there. But if it is a hip flexor injury, that's better than the alternative of a core strain and a surgery that requires at least 6 to 8 weeks on the sideline. Now, that being said, Terry is still not expected to play this weekend. The issue with a hip flexor strain, if that's what it is that you can't, when you strain a muscle, you can't really stretch it because that's not helping. It's already irritated and you're just stretching it out further. You can get some ice on it, rest it, compress it. All those things will help. Do some strengthening exercises when possible. But it's not like you've got, I don't even know. It's not like you've got a bump and a bruise here. It's not like you've got a tight muscle and you just stretch. You need to work it out. You kind of just need to let it sit there and heal up and do what you can to help expedite that process. But nonetheless, it does seem as if Terry has avoided a major injury, which of course is the best case scenario for the Commanders. Now, talking about the team as a whole, Bill Croskey-Merritt did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday. It does appear as if they're just giving him some extra time off and being cautious with his body because he is a very physical runner who racks up a lot of contact. It doesn't seem as if he's actually injured. You remember during the preseason when they were being careful with his shoulder, now they're being careful with his knee. I think they are just doing their due diligence. That's my general feeling on the matter. He has not suggested that he's at risk of missing this weekend. I do think he'll be suiting up. Some other players who unfortunately will not be: John Bates, Noah Brown, Percy Butler, all did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Bates and Brown did not play last weekend. Am I remembering that right? They didn't play? Yeah, they didn't play last weekend. Butler did play and then left injured with the hip, I believe is the timeline. Fortunately, good news here, Trey Amos and Colson Yankoff both back to practice in a full capacity. Yankoff practiced in full on Wednesday and Thursday. Amos was limited on Wednesday, but full on Thursday. Now, the big one, the big catch, Jayden Daniels, he has been limited. He practiced each of the last 2 days. He has been limited, but yesterday we saw some social media clips of him doing some footwork bag drills, which required moving forward, back, side to side. Looked all right. They're not full game speed. You're not taking contact, so you never know for sure, but he did seem okay. Also, Jayden did the Wednesday quarterback press conference Marcus Mariota did it last week, and Mariota ended up starting. So is this an indication Jayden's starting this weekend? It's definitely possible. It's not definitive, but it is a positive sign. Jayden said several times, I feel great. I feel ready to play, but it's ultimately not my decision. That's up to DQ and the doctors. So we'll see what happens there. But I personally am expecting him to play. I know that goes against what ESPN's John Keim has said, which he feels he's a little more pessimistic on the outlook, but I believe Jayden's going to play this weekend. So we'll see ultimately if he does. Some notes from Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Whitt Jr. They gave their press conferences yesterday on Thursday, as they always do. Nothing huge to glean from what they said. Joe Whitt Jr. praised the defensive line, specifically Daron Payne. He said that the way Payne, whatever grading system they use internally, he said that Payne had the highest grade in the Raiders game of anyone on the defense, and he believed it was the highest grade for an individual in the entire season. So once again, Daron Payne stepping up. Also talked about the positive impacts of Dorrance Armstrong and Javon Kinlaw. Discussed some other nuances, but nothing too major to report. The biggest thing that I could take from hearing from these coordinators was Cliff Kingsbury when talking about Brandon Coleman. So someone basically said, some member of the media said, hey, why was he inactive? What's his path back? Cliff, first of all, made sure to praise Chris Paul and said that, look, it was just his time and he took advantage of the opportunity and he did a great job. So it sounds like Chris Paul is going to be the starter again this week. Don't know if Coleman is going to be inactive or if he'll be active roster bench. Don't know that part. But Cliff said something that was interesting. And he said that the reason Coleman was not playing was because of his health and his practice habits. And the way I interpret that, a lot of people will say, oh my, so Coleman's not trying. He's goofing off in practice. He doesn't have the right mentality. I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he is saying is because Coleman is getting injured. He's had the shoulder problems. He had the ankle problems. Because of that, it's limiting his ability to be out on the practice field. It's limiting his ability to go full speed, things like that, to refine the skills. So those practice habits, as far as just being available, if you've ever played a sport or if you've ever run a marathon or done an Ironman or anything like that, the number one thing you can do to get better at whatever it is just doing it. Obviously, having great coaching and reviewing your own film and looking for areas of improvement, that all helps. But doing it versus not doing it, that's the biggest difference. Alan Webb, who is the American record holder in the mile, was for a very long time, actually. I believe Jared Naguse recently broke it. But Alan Webb, someone asked him, hey, how do I get better as a runner? He said, run more. That's all it is. So for Coleman, go be a guard. Go practice. Go block. And if he's injured, that bleeds over to the practice habits because he can't go full speed. You can't refine those skills. So I don't think he's calling him out in that sense. More so just saying, hey, look, get healthy, heal up, get back into full capacity to where we can actually train you to be the best version of yourself. And that's how you get back into the lineup. But also, we'll see how Chris Paul does. He was, I want to say, the Commanders' highest graded offensive lineman against the Raiders. And he's going to get a good test against the Falcons. And I will be watching to see how he does. Adam Peters and Bob Myers. Bob Myers is not a Commanders employee, but he did help with the coaching search, and he kind of hangs out at practice sometimes. So he's part of the Commanders family. Adam Peters and Bob Myers will be helping lead the search for UCLA's next coach. So that's cool. Hopefully their focuses aren't stretched too far. Hopefully AP got his eyes on where it needs to be with the Commanders, but I'm sure he will. There's also, I think, 5 or 6 people on this committee that is leading the UCLA coaching search. So hopefully it goes well for them. UCLA was pretty awful this season. So hopefully they're able to find the right man for the job, just like they found Dan Quinn for the Commanders. Jaylin Lane won the Rookie of the Week award for the NFL. The Commanders own this award. Jayden won it a bajillion times last year. Bill Croskey-Merritt won it in week 1. I forget who week 2 went to. It wasn't a Commander, which is rare for this thing. But then Jaylin Lane brings it home in week 3. So shout out and congrats to Jaylin Lane. A big 90-yard punt return touchdown. The first for the Commanders in a long time. I was thinking about it. When I did my 5 names to remember, I did not give a green square to Jaylin Lane. And I think it's time. I think I need to honor him one retroactively. I want to say posthumously, but he didn't die, but the video's already over. I think I give you guys a sneak peek here. I'm actually keeping a log of all the players who make the 5 names to remember: red, yellow, green, dark green, game ball. I've been keeping a log of all of it, and I've got everybody's names written down. And I think at the end of the season, it'll be cool to go look back and see If we get to the end of the year and I say, well, this person was the best player, this was most impressive, this was most disappointing, whatever, does that line up with the squares that I gave out in the 5 Names to Remember series? I think I need to retroactively honor Jaylin Lane with a green square, because that play is something the Commanders player has not done in a very long time. The game wasn't out of hand at the time it happened like I thought it was. The Commanders were up by 10, so they're up by 2 scores, but that really did put the game away, and it was a great play, and I don't believe it was a one-off. I believe that he can do that again. So if you've got thoughts on that, let me know in the comment section below. Schedule updates before we get out of here. The Commanders do not have a game on their schedule at 1 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday until week 14. We are in week 4. After this week, not another one of those games until week 14. Week 5 is at 4:25 on the road against the Chargers. Week 6 at home on Monday Night Football against the Bears. Week 7, 4:25 on the road at the Cowboys. Week 8, Monday Night Football against the Chiefs. Week 9, Sunday Night Football against the Seahawks. Week 10, 4:25 against the Lions. Week 11 is at 9:30 in the morning in Spain against the Dolphins. Week 12 is a bye. Week 13 is Sunday Night Football against the Broncos. And then you finally get to week 14, which is the 1 o'clock game at home against the Vikings. So going to be a long stretch where the boys will be tested, and we'll find out what this team is made of. There have been a lot of injury problems. Hopefully by like week 6, everybody's back in the mix. It's better to finish healthy than to start healthy and get injured on the way. So we'll see how these things go, but it is a lot of tough opponents on the schedule. A lot of road games, international games, primetime games, short weeks, all that stuff. Things that will test these players and this coaching staff, and we'll see how they do. But guys, that's going to do it for me in this video. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Make sure you hit the like button if you did enjoy. If you are a new viewer here and you want to be locked in for daily uploads, hit the subscribe button to the new viewers. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you do leave me your thoughts on the comment section below, including on if we give Jaylin Lane a retroactive green square. That's going to do it for this video. And as I always say, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day.